Hey everyone, welcome back to Paper Therapy with Amy. This is the Beautiful Garden paper pack and Peaceful Garden. Sorry, it's called Peaceful Garden paper pack. And I am going to be using it to document my son and daughter-in-law's beautiful wedding. So I think it's going to go really well. I want to use this picture alone for the title page. So that's what I'm going to work on today. You're going to see I burnt myself with hot glue. So that's what this is. It's healing. And my nail polish is starting to come off a little bit, but I really want to do this for you today. So hopefully you can bear with me on my imperfect hands today. So when I look through kind of these this paper, I definitely think that I want to go with a lighter background. Obviously I will want to matte this and stuff, but I think it really looks nice with the dress. And I really like this one too, but I don't have a lot, and I actually like the leaf side too, so I kind of want to use that sparingly. So I think I'm gonna just start with this. And then I do think I want to put around it a frame. So I think I want to start with a frame like this. And then if I do that, I also think it would be nice, and I think just a small one, it would be nice because it's a title page. I love having just the framed one page. And then I think it would be nice to do the same thing with the photo, just to kind of mimic that again. I do also want to do some embellishment clusters. I like this photo because there is some background that I can cover up a little bit. And I just love, it's actually my favorite photo of all their photos, and they're just kind of looking at the camera. There's a lot of fun ones, but this is the one that I put up on my wall. And I've already decided also on a title. It's an old Close to My Heart set. This is actually a winter set, but I really like this Beautiful Moments. So I got that ready. So I already know I want to use that. So it's going to go somewhere, I think, down on the dress over here. I think I like it best there. I don't really want to cover up my son's shoe because he looks small already when they're wearing dark and the bride's wearing light. So I think just putting it on the bottom of the dress there might be nice. And I don't really want it on top. I think it's nicer at the bottom. So that's kind of, there'll be more pictures of her dress, so I'm okay with covering a little bit of it. And then I also want to use some glitter paper. I got this glitter paper, I think, from Close to My Heart. It's part of my stash. And so I'm definitely going to use, I'm not sure, this is not silver, I don't think. But it's also not white. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I really do like this color. It's like an iridescent, it's certainly not silver because it looks a little bit gold as well. So I'm not sure what you would call it, but I really like this one for adding in. I am going to be using these two sets, Petals of Beauty and Stampin' Cut Emboss for the Petals of Beauty. And these have some standalone dies, and I really want to use those as well. And so I wanted to mimic her flowers just a little bit. But I also wanted some blue flowers to go with the blues of this paper pack. So I started with Lagoon. That's, as you know, my favorite color. And I tried stamping them. Like this one I think is stamped off Pool Party and Lagoon. And I didn't love that. So I went through my colors and I ended up going with, I tried this, which is Secret Sea or Harbor. If you only have Close to My Heart, it was Harbor, and Lagoon. That is Lagoon in the center. And I don't mind that, but it's kind of dark. I kind of like it a little bit lighter. So this is what I ended up going with. And this is Seabrook. Close to My Heart, Seabrook, and then Lagoon over top. So the best match to that would probably be the stamped off Pool Party. It's awfully close, but this has just got that touch of green, and I really liked how that looked. So I'm going to be using these. And then I wanted to add some orange ones in just to bring out the orange. So I was trying different combinations. This is a lighter pink, like petal pink. And you hear the train going by. Sorry about that. And it's Calypso Coral over top. And I don't mind it on the layout, but I don't think it matches her flowers perfectly. This was peach. I think it's peach, and that was Close to My Heart's peach. Yeah, Close to My Heart's peach and not papaya, paprika. And I like that, but it's not quite right either. So I kept trying, and then I finally came to this. This is papaya from Close to My Heart and peach, because I don't have a ton of orange. The only oranges I had from Stampin' Up was pumpkin pie, which is 2 orange. So, and then I have Calypso Coral, which was kind of bright. So this is what I landed on, and I really like how it looks on here. I think when I cluster these flowers together, I'm really gonna like that. And I definitely want to cluster up here. So the other things that I cut out was I cut out some leaves. That's a standalone die that comes with the Petals of Beauty. That's why I want to call it Beautiful Garden. It's Peaceful Garden, Petals of Beauty. So I've got that, and then there's another die. Oh gosh. So there's these dies, and there's a smaller one as well. And so I cut some of these out in different ways. So I cut some in this color, and I also cut some in like the glitter paper. So like this, so I can tuck those in like sort of behind. That can look really nice, something like that. And then you can do like these kind of over top, and I really like how that looks. And then I have some of these leaves, and I did those in pine green. I'm just using from my stash the colors that I have, and then as I run out of them, I'll find a color I like. Similarly from Stampin' Up. So I have a lot of pine left, so I'm gonna use it, and it works really well with this color combination that I've got going on here. And I did have one just cut here, but I misplaced it. Let me bring one in from here. So there's this one here. I think I'm gonna start here like this by building some clusters and kind of deciding how I want it to look. So I'll speed that process up for you, but I'm going to work on that for a few minutes here. That mat behind the photo and the background that I have on this layout, that background tiny edge that I'm going to have showing, are both charcoal gray from Close to My Heart. I would say the closest thing would be to the basic gray. I would say that would be about the closest color. And the closest thing to the orange flowers would be to stamp the flower itself in Calypso and then put Cajun craze around the edges for the second, because it's 2-layer stamping. It would be slightly different because papaya has a little bit more of a pink tinge to it, but very similar. I spent some time looking around on Pinterest and found a few different inspiration layouts to follow. And I'm not going to show them because I don't know what the copyright rules are, or if people are upset when I show their layout. If it was a sketch and I knew I was allowed to show it, I would. But essentially, they were single page layouts with a single photo on them, and they had floral clusters. So I just kind of looked how their clusters were positioned. I would say that they actually had a lot more flowers. They were more of a mixed media layout, and so I cut down a little bit on the florals. I still think I end up with plenty. And the goal is to kind of frame in the photo. And it's nice that this photo is taken with a little bit of greenery around it, so I can kind of play off of that and overlap a little bit. The leaves with the hole in the center are cut from Vellum, and Stampin' Up is now selling Vellum, and I will list it down below. My goal, as always, is to use newer products together with my stash. As I was looking at this, I realized that I have a floral paper. It's my favorite floral paper, and it might work with this if I just use it in a very, very small amount. So I'm putting it here thinking about one more border around the outside in about of a 1/4 of an inch. And then I would
even have that gray border be 1/8 of an inch. I also considered putting a sheet of vellum in behind here, and I think I want the top and bottom ripped. That was on a few different inspiration photos that I saw on Pinterest, that they had a piece of vellum in behind the picture as another mat with a ripped edge. And I found it really looks festive, and it really looks wedding because it's kind of like a piece of gauze. Now I'm going to try and get it in behind here without totally messing up my clusters, and spoiler alert, I am not able to do it, and I do kind of mess up my clusters. It's a bit of a challenge, but I do like how it looks, so I'm going to keep it in, and I'm going to do a little bit of a treatment to the paper behind here to give a little bit more interest, but it will be blurred out a little bit by that vellum over top. I did consider putting another piece of paper in behind here, and I don't mind how that looks, but I think I have enough going on, and I'm going to stress myself out with too many things happening. So I've decided to just do a bit of a treatment in behind here instead, and I'll show you that in just a moment. First, I'm going to show you how I trimmed down my papers. So this one I took 1/2 inch off, and each side. So that gave me a 1/4 inch border. And then I also gutted out the center at 3/4 of an inch, just so I would have this piece left over, because there's so much more matting that I can do in this album, and I'll probably be using this charcoal gray the whole time. I'm also going to gut out this floral sheet, and I'm going to give myself 1 inch for that one. So the way that I do this is I slide that piece of paper up to the inch line, and then I put the ruler at the 11 inches and go down to 1. And then I go from 1 to 11 and keep flipping the paper and doing that. And if I don't quite meet in the corners, then sometimes you have to just kind of tear it or snip it with your scissors. But I just take that piece out of there, and I'm only going to be showing a tiny bit of this anyway. I'm also going to ink all the way around the edge of this. Because this paper is white core, I do like to do that, but also I like that it just darkens it that little bit towards the edge. I'm also going to ink around this white piece, and I'm going to add it so I have 3 layers. It really helps to remove those inner portions from those first 2 layers so that it's not quite so thick and bulky. I've had someone recently ask me if I ever use these papers that I save, and I absolutely do. I use them. I love having a little extra piece. There's always a time when you're looking for a little piece of that or that patterned paper, and you're glad that you saved that piece from the center that no one could see anyway.
Okay, so I'm going to be doing a new technique with this Brayer. This is called a Brayer, and I think they're $20 in the catalog, something like that. And I have 3 embossing folders. This is retired from Stampin' Up, and it's called Distress Tile. This one is current from Stampin' Up, and it is called Damask, something Damask. And this is an old one from Close to My Heart, and I believe it's kind of a damask one as well. And so I'm going to start with this one, and I'll show you how you do this technique. I've got the Lagoon ink here, and you want to get a little bit of ink onto here, but you do not want to roll it so far that this whole thing is covered. And I'll explain why in a minute. I'm going to go side to side this way, and I'm just going to go a little bit like that. You can always add more, and each side is going to make a different pattern because one side's dented in and one side's pushed out. So we're going to try this side here, and I want to see what I'm going to like the best. And this is the reason that I told you not to go too far, because you want it to be spotty. You don't want to be able to see the edge. So you can see there. See, and if you go like this, every direction, and this is distressed, so right here there is, the tile is made to look distressed. So there actually is no pattern, not much of a pattern in that spot. So you can keep adding, but just remember when you go to the edge here, you are going to see an edge, and that's not always the nicest to see. There, good enough. Okay, So now another thing we can do to make sure that there's not a defined edge is to take a tissue and just kind of go along the edge here and like dab it off, because you don't really want it to have a line. You want it to kind of just start and stop, right? And so what you do is you use this to print. So I'm gonna actually do it like this, down at the bottom here. And you just go like that, and then you lift it up. So you can see there is kind of an edge here, but it kind of ends organically, right? It doesn't look weird. So then we're gonna try this side. It's gonna make a different print, because this is where the pattern stuck out. This is where the pattern's dented in. So you're gonna see the pattern in the negative space, if that makes any sense. So let's just take a little bit again. And I like to just go every which direction and roll it out so it kind of disappears to the edge. And then again, I'm gonna go along the edge and kind of dab it off so that it ends, like I said, organically. And then we're gonna put this down like this and print that on there. And that is what the reverse looks like. And you can still see I did get a bit of an edge here. So this is better over here where you don't notice it as much. But I'm most concerned about the outside edge, because when I put it underneath my vellum, so I'm gonna bring my vellum back in like this, I want it to kind of go to the edge. And maybe outside a little bit like that. So I want to see what I like better, and I like this better. This doesn't show up enough, I think. I like this side better. So if I were to use that one, but let's try on this side, let's try a different one. I'm gonna go with this one, because I think it might work good. But I'll show you all of them, just so that you get an idea. Okay, I'm just taking a little bit. You see, I just took a little. I don't like to roll too far, because then you get that definite edge, and I do not like the definite edge. That might even be a little better. Okay, let's just dab around the edge. There we go. And then let's print up over here. So that's that side. Now that's the dented inside. Let's check out how the raised side is gonna look. So I like to roll lots of it in the middle, and then when I go out to the edge, go when my roller is getting a little emptier, like that. It's so sunny and warm today. I can just hear the eaves trough from the neighbor or ours just flowing away. I've got a tank top on because the sun was shining in my room. It was too warm. So it's been a beautiful winter fall day here. All right, let's go like that. And there is that side. Actually don't look that different, strangely. I wonder if it's because I can still see the ink here. Let's try it on the flip side. On the flip side, let's see what happens if I try that once more, and I'm going to push down a little bit harder so it actually really gets all on there. Oops, I moved it. All right, that's okay. Even though I moved it, it's even still fine. Let's look what it would look like shining through my vellum. Oops. Oh, I dropped it and everything went wild. Just have to imagine it going through the vellum there. Ooh, I do like that as well. That looks good. I like that. I suspect I'm not gonna like the last one as much. Simply because of the pattern, but let's try it. You never know. So on this side, you're gonna get the reverse pattern, and this side you're going to get the pattern that's sticking out. So let's try this side first. It's creaky, it's not old. That's okay. I don't think that's really what I had in mind. Let's take a look. Ah, it's actually okay. Okay. And then let's try the other side. See what happens if I use the other side. Now you just want to wash these in like your kitchen sink, rinse them off, and then I just put them on a tea towel to dry. So you can see now the pattern is going to show in the reverse, in the not painted parts. Okay. I think I like this one the best. I think I really like this one the best, but I think any of them might look okay. Let's just bring this in one more time. That would look okay. That would look okay. I think I like this the best though, but any of them would work. And I believe there is an embossing folder right now that's more something similar to this. I'll list it down below. I'll look it up and I'll list it down below for you. I do think I like this the best though. So I'm gonna use my old Close to My Heart one when I do it. Okay, so let's get this and this out of the way.
I'm going to speed up this process for you as I do it on my actual layout. It would have been smarter of me to clean the top of this embossing folder, but I didn't, and I actually didn't get any excess on my page, so I did okay, but it would be wiser to wipe off the top of the embossing folder with a baby wipe or something to that effect. But I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to go 1 inch. I'm kind of wiping off the edges a little bit to make sure I don't have any lines. Then I'm going to go 1 inch down and 1 inch in, kind of eyeball it and print this onto the layout like that. And then I'm going to do it one more time towards the bottom. I did enjoy doing this technique and I would actually use it again. I did play it safe and use it where I'm going to place a vellum over top on this one, but I also just didn't want this layout to turn into something really super busy. I wanted it to really be something just really classy and understated. Of course, my embellishment clusters did not stay perfectly neat on my piece of vellum. They kind of went everywhere when I tipped it by accident. So I'm going to have to relay those out. And I'm just going to give you a quick version of that once again so you can see how I kind of put those back together. I just glued the vellum down in the very center so that you wouldn't be able to see the adhesive. And once I know where all my embellishments are going to go, I am going to add glue behind all the embellishments or tape runner where I know you won't be able to see it. When I create flower bouquets or embellishment clusters, my goal is to have all the different elements, textures, and colors in each cluster. The one near the title, I did decide not to add a glitter element, so that flower outline with the glitter I only have in the upper one and in the right hand one. That floral outline or overlay that I'm using as texture in the background and sometimes over top of the flowers, I struggled with it at first because it is not a perfect match to that large flower, and neither is the small one. If you put them over the flower, they are meant to kind of loop outside the frame of the flower. It's not going to perfectly match the edges of the flower. So that's something to remember when you're using it. I made a couple of cards and then I finally figured out how to use these. The goal with the vellum piece is to go a little bit more over top of the photo or the photo frame because it's not going to show up very much over top of the vellum or the white background. And then the greenery I'm setting the other way so it goes more over top of the white because it's not going to show very well on top of the gray background. Once I had these guys the way I like them, then I popped up the orange flower with pop tape, and when I set it down, the other elements would mostly stick to it. And that way I could come in with my fine tip Barely Art glue and go underneath the other bits. I did also raise up some of the leaves to give it more dimension. I searched through my stash of gems and decided to go with the white pearls that were originally with the utterly adorable collection. Putting this layout on a dark background really helped my camera be able to focus. I hope you really enjoyed watching this come together and you like how it turned out. I love that subtleness of that vellum on there. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Hit that thumbs up button for me if you don't mind, and subscribe if you haven't done that yet. I'd love to have you as one of my subscribers. I'll catch you next time here on YouTube. Bye.